Here we are tracking our next weather impact for the day, and it actually is for today. We're tracking some isolated shower chances for points along and off to the west of I-75. Upper 70s though, mostly cloudy skies for most. Now I think some will actually manage to see at least some sunshine, and we're actually seeing a little bit of that right now here in downtown Toledo. Weather impacts that we are tracking, well, we're starting off the weekend cloudy. Once we turn in towards next week, we're still expecting rather dry conditions. Drought's going to likely expand once we get that new update on Thursday morning. And then by next weekend, actually looking at the return of some rain chances for us, although there's a bit of inconsistencies in the weather models right now. We'll kind of dive into that here in just a moment. Temperatures, we're sitting into the middle 50s for this morning. We are tracking a bit of rain though further off to our north and west over portions of western Michigan and actually moving over Lake Michigan right now. Some pockets of moderate to heavy rainfall, even a little bit of thunder and lightning. Now, as this is pushing off towards our direction, while there has been some heavier rain, we are actually expecting this to start to dissipate once it gets a little bit closer towards our area. And I think most will not see too much in regards to any sort of rain. So don't let that damper any of your weekend plans. You can notice though, a heavy pocket of rainfall has traveled through parts of Wisconsin, and it is starting to kind of fall apart a bit, but we are thankfully not going to see too much, at least for Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan for us, kind of tracking things hour by hour. If we were to expect anything from this rain, as you notice, it continues to track off towards the south and east. Once it gets into our area, looking at more light rainfall, likely maybe around midday to the early afternoon hours. That will then start to kind of fall apart as we get into the later parts of our Saturday, but still holding on to this cloud cover throughout the day. And I think many of us are going to have a mostly cloudy day, but again, maybe areas along the immediate lakeshore will see at least a little bit more sunshine. Turning into Sunday, we will see partly sunny skies, even then starting to improve with additional sunshine getting into the later parts of our Sunday. We'll actually notice temperatures even warming up quite a bit too throughout the day. Not seeing a whole lot of action here. And then for Monday, similar story, looking at a good amount of sunshine, maybe a few clouds throughout the day at most, but that is about it. Now, the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook does continue to have really much of the U.S. under above average temperatures, and even here for us, still sitting pretty high there. So our average high, just for perspective, does put us into about the upper 70s. So we'll likely be seeing those temperatures into the middle, if not the upper 80s, just because of the abnormally high temperatures at least forecasted for the next 6 to 10 days. And with that, the warmer temperatures obviously is going to come drier conditions. Well, we're going to continue to see the drought monitor increasing, at least in coverage for us. Most of our viewing area is under moderate drought conditions, but the rest of us are under abnormally dry conditions. So I would anticipate this to continue to spread over the next several days. And once we get the new update on Thursday, we'll likely see this start to expand. I wouldn't even be surprised if we started to see some of the severe drought categories start to spread on our map as well. Now, the overall rain outlook for the next 6 to 10 days does have us at about average. Drier conditions further off to the east and wetter than normal conditions off to the west. So we'll be looking at about average. We do average about 1/10 of an inch. If you were to take the total rainfall for the month and then divide it up by each day, about 1/10 of an inch is on average. But obviously there's been a lot of days where we have not seen a lot of rainfall. It's just been very dry and rather quiet across much of our area. Although today, looking at the chance for an isolated shower, mostly cloudy for most, only looking at highs into the upper 70s. Light winds, not too bad out there today. Will be more reminiscent of a little bit of fall or even winter-like, just with the clouds kind of being overhead. But thankfully, we're still holding on to some of those warmer temperatures, looking to be into the upper 70s for today, turning into the upper or lower 80s for Sunday, and continuing that trend Monday and into Tuesday. And we'll start to see those clouds start to kind of thin out, or at least not seeing as many of them as we get into the extended forecast. The sunshine does stay with us. And again, the isolated shower chance for today, really for points along into the west of I-75. Not looking at anything severe, would be, and if anything, beneficial rainfall. Now, we do see a warm up that starts to move in. Here is that from the 6 to 10 day outlook that we were just looking at. High of 88 degrees. I wouldn't be surprised if some areas started to push towards 90 degrees, but then we have a cold front that pushes in, bringing us additional shower chances. And look at our high temperature going back down into the lower 70s. So we will be seeing some relief from the temporary heat that we will be seeing for the next couple of really 6 to 10 days. That starts to move in by next weekend. Overall temperature trend does have us still at above average for parts of this week. Once we turn in towards next weekend, that's when we start to see those below average temperatures. And I think we will start to see some additional rain chances, at least for many communities, once we turn in towards Friday and Saturday. Still a bit of model inconsistency, though, with when that rain moves in and if that will impact our temperatures and really who will see rain. At least at this point right now, models do have some sort of moisture moving in next weekend by Friday, even into Saturday, maybe even still holding on to maybe the early parts of Sunday. Still some model inconsistencies though, so we'll continue to monitor the latest data as we get that in, and we will update the forecasts accordingly. Until then, enjoy those high temperatures into the upper 70s and a bit of a more cloudier Saturday for us. Sunshine will return for Sunday. Have a great Saturday.